All right, folks, we'll get started. Looks like about 2 minutes from now. If you're watching the recording, you can always fast forward to the start, but we'll be right with you. All right, folks, we'll get started here in just a minute. Anybody that's here right now, if you want to start typing in your stock symbols, feel free to do so at any time. Just type those in caps, okay? All right, we're going to get started here in just a second. Okay, well, welcome to today's Stock Analysis Fridays. Great to have everybody here. Let me pop up a picture on the lower left. And hello, everybody. Welcome to today's presentation. All right, so today we're going to take a look at stock picks that mean something to you, give you a second opinion. We're also going to probably cover things like Bitcoin, gold, silver. Those are kind of the usuals that I think are always good that people are interested in. And, of course, we want to welcome everybody here. All right, pass this on to your friends because, we're trying to grow the channel, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to get that done. So definitely remember to like, subscribe, and share. There's a notification bell. So if you click on that for a particular type of event like this, YouTube will automatically notify you when we are present. So that's always kind of helpful so you don't have to come too early or too late. We'll be there when the bell, of course, goes off. All right, so we want to talk a little bit about the risk. Before we do an event like this, we want to make sure that anybody trading the financial markets understands that there's risk involved in trading. But like I always say, without that risk, guess what? There's no opportunity, right? So the two really go hand in hand. And we want you to just be aware of the risk. Nothing we do is guaranteed in the markets. We work in a realm of probabilities. So if you find a stock you're interested in today, definitely run that by your financial advisor, whoever manages your money, just to be sure a trade like that is suitable for you, because we don't know your personal situation. They do, so it's always a good idea to run that by them. Always trade with risk capital. This is the money you can afford to risk in the financial markets. And, of course, know how to do risk control. And if you need any help with that, come to our website at traderscoach.com. I also have several books that might be of interest to you out there. I have a great book on money management. So, we talk about risk control. This is a great place to go for you to learn the basics on how to control your risk on each and every trade. Tough to eliminate it altogether, but you can definitely do some things in that book that's going to help you control your risk, things like calculate your trade size and so forth. Then I have a book called The Art of Trading on our superior trading system called the ART system. You can check that out. Survival Guide for Traders is a great reference book if you want to trade from home and treat your business like a hedge fund, basically. And then I find my final book is Elliott Wave Technique Simplified, all about a form of technical analysis called the Elliott Wave. So those are available at all major bookstores. Our books are published by major publishers, so you can check those out on Amazon and things like that. Now, when we look at particular charts today, there may be some things you see on the chart, whether it's indicators or price pattern identification systems like the ART software, that may be kind of foreign to you. Some of you have our software, some of you viewing in may not. So what we use here is what we call the ultimate trading system. You can get this at traderscoach.com, and you can even learn more about that on our website. But we use the ART, AL, PTF, TLM, and ERI charting software. We combine that with scanners and risk control software to really round out the entire set of tools you need to trade the market. So that's available on our website. And then finally, I just want to thank everybody for being here. And it's a lot of fun. We do this, losing my voice here, we do this every Friday, and so we have a lot of fun here. So it's a great time, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing I'm going to go over while I'm waiting for symbols to come in is GBTC. Now, GBTC is in the form of a futures, forex futures too, and also in the form of an actual ETF. So we're looking at an ETF. Now, a couple things here I want to go over before we jump into this. First of all, you can certainly see I have three charts, right? I have a chart on the left, and again, these are all showing GBTC. So it's all the same symbol. But what we do is create three charts. The one on the left is what we call a 60-minute chart. So each price bar here represents just an hour. And we call this the short-term outlook on a position trade based off the daily chart, which is in our center. And of course, this is a daily chart. This gives us the intermediate trend. And then we have the weekly chart, which is the long-term trend. So when we look at a stock, what we're doing is we're actually dissecting it in terms of short-term, intermediate, and long-term. So why do we do this? We do this because it really helps us get a clear picture of what's going on this stock or futures or whatever we trade. And so it helps us with the timing. Is it a good time to go in now, or should we wait? And you'll see how we use these when we do the presentation today. So on something like Bitcoin, the first thing I want to open up is this long-term weekly chart. And before I get going, let me just make sure everything looks good. I've got the picture that they say I probably should either have or not have, I don't know, in the lower left. You tell me if that's interfering with anything. I think it's okay down there. We had it in the upper right, and it kind of got in the way of the chart, so I think we're okay there. I'll look at the comments if that's giving us trouble. So GBTC is the ETF for Bitcoin. Now, a couple things. All right, we had a big move up here, and these are our tools at work down here. So we have the OWL, which measures momentum. And basically it's in a histogram format, and it also identifies a wave 3, which corresponds to your Elliott wave, okay? Remember that? All right, and then we have the PTF down here. This kind of gives us, this is kind of a neat little tool, because when it's green, like it is now, basically you find the highest price in that green area, which would have been the top of wave 3 up here. And basically there's a 75% chance, that's the accuracy rate on this, that this is going to return and make a new high. So that's kind of helpful to know, especially when it's been coming down and there's been a lot of negative information on Bitcoin lately. So what do we do with this? Well, it has come down, and as you can see, price bars are all red and is still sloping down. This was the target zone of where we expected it to go on the retracement after wave 3, so that's called a wave 4. So wave 4 is a retracement. So that seems to be over and probably will recover and go back into the target zone. Now, Bitcoin is kind of a funny thing because there is a lot of cryptos out there, and I've always equate the kind of time period we're in now to back in the 1990s when you had all the dot-coms come on the scene. There were hundreds and thousands probably of dot-coms that came in the late 1990s, and everybody, all of them were going up, and all of them were everybody was very excited about it. And then, of course, 2000 came, and you had the dot-com bust, the bubble, and many of them went bankrupt, and a few survived. I think that's going to happen with cryptos. I think, there's tons of cryptos out there, and I think we're going to see a sell-off in cryptos eventually that's going to wipe a lot of them out, but a few will remain. So it'll be kind of an interesting period after that settles to see which ones remain. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. So why am I bringing that up now? Well, I think if this is a 3, and this is a 4, and this is a 5, I think we got one more possible high on this. All right? The only thing I'm going to say that may not happen is if this indicator abruptly turns red. But so far it hasn't done that. We came awful close to the target here, but I think we're going to go back under the target one last time. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Now, if you're not in Bitcoin, now we're going to use another time frame here. We're going to go down the daily chart and open that up. And you can see the same target zones here in blue. But we're still heading down. We have a bearish pyramid trading point. This is one of our pieces of software or studies called the art software on pyramids. And basically what this does is it looks at trending patterns in the market and also looks at momentum when they form. So it formed, actually a little while ago, and the market, of course, has been going down since then. So that makes sense, right? Formed back here, and basically the market sold off. We still have a bearish owl, so it is not time to buy on this yet, even though it's back in the target zone. You got to wait this one out, folks. We don't want to go in prematurely because it's still coming down. Also, too, if it keeps coming down and keeps coming down, it may come down hard enough that it could turn this green PTF on the weekly chart to red, and if that's the case, we're not going to want to take the trade at all. And then if we look at the 60-minute short-term chart, look how much red is on this chart. We got bearish pyramids, this, all right? So it's not quite time in terms of timing to get involved in this. So you want to stay out. Now, if you've been in and you're in it for a long time and you're in it for the long haul, then let's open up that weekly chart, and your stop should be at the bottom of this pyramid. And if that's the case, we'll bring our data box over here. We're looking at a place to put your stop right around 32.09 on this particular ETF for Bitcoin. So I just wanted to cover that. All right, let's get into some of the ones you want to take a look at here. All right, let's see. Hat Trick, how you doing? All right, Disney. Let's take a look at DIS. All right, give that a second to load over there. All right, so let's see what we got, Hat Trick, on this. I don't know if you're long or short. Doesn't matter. I'll give you the analysis of what I think is going to happen on this. But all right, so let's take a look again at our 3 time frames. First one is the weekly, and here we are up here. So this has been coming up for quite some time. I mean, this has been in a rally mode for years, right? All the way back, just like the markets, actually. When you get a big stock like Disney, it almost represents the same as the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index. So back in 2009, if you looked at the Dow Index, you'd see it start to come up just like Disney is. All right, here's your COVID low here, and here's your top here before COVID. So here's the COVID effect, very similar to the Dow, and now we've made a new high. So what's going to happen with this? All right, so right now, okay, if you were even trading this on a longer time frame, you'd be out of the market right now. So you'd be stopped out because these pyramids were hit here. So you would have been out probably back, it looks like, maybe October, November, okay? Probably November, I would say. All right, now, we have probably some form of a top of a wave 3 here, so we're going into wave 4 right now. And that's kind of where we're at with this. Now, Let's take a look at the short-term chart and see what that's going. A lot of red on the short-term chart, okay? So there's a lot of opportunities to go short here, but you still have a red owl, you still have a red PTF at the bottom, and the trend line is red. So this is the owl, this is the PTF, and this is the trend line. Call it the trend line master. So we're still below some of the major trend lines. All right, we just went on the other side of the short-term trend line. So this is still bearish. All right, so we don't want to consider a long position here. But certainly, if you're long here, you should be out of the market based on even the weekly chart. So that's kind of where we are now. You have more lows coming, so I think you're probably in pretty good shape with that. And that's where we are now with that. All right, Sue, let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. Cisco. Zeke, how are you? CSCO for Cisco. All right, let's take a look at Cisco here. All right, so Cisco, we're going to open up that weekly chart, kind of give you an idea of how to use the multiple time frames. I basically started using multiple time frames many years ago. I've been trading the markets now for about 30 years. And I found when I went to the multiple time frames, it added a lot of clarity because I got a really excellent way to time entries. So if we look at the weekly chart here, we're still in an uptrend. The pyramid trading point given to us by the ART system is still showing bullishness in the market. We've got a bullish owl and a bullish PTF, so more highs are coming. The only thing we got to be concerned about is a little bearish divergence building inside the owl. So bearish divergence means prices go up, but the momentum behind that increase in the price is not as high as it was earlier in the move. All right, so you can see it was higher here than it is here. So that's bearish divergence that we have. And so we usually get that when a trend starts to get kind of mature. And so that's what we're having now. We took out the high here, and we probably got some more room to go to the upside. So I'd say probably by looking at this, we're looking probably at a target probably around 70, maybe on this to 75. All right, so long position's good right now. We have bullishness on the daily chart. Let's open that up. Okay, so you have bullishness there. Probably wait for a pullback to go long. I think you'll be able to get a better price because if we look, here comes the 60-minute, which helps us a lot. The 60-minute is showing now, if you got in on these, you'd be just fine, but it's pretty mature. All right, we're starting to see maturity in this, but we have more highs here as well. So if you're in Cisco, you want to stay with it. If you're thinking about getting into it, I'd probably wait for a pullback. That's kind of the way I would play that. All right, SL, Stuart, I think that's you. How you doing? All right, SC, see, we're just like family here after a while. So let me bring that one up for you. And this is Schwab. All right, let's take a look at that long-term look on the weekly chart. I think, Stuart, you usually trade long-term on these. So, again, very similar to a lot of stocks we're seeing in the Dow. We're making highs, bearish divergence. Stop should be here on any long-term plays on this. So you're looking pretty good here. We've got a low on this pyramid of around $67.30. So $67.30 would be a good place to put your stop for a long-term play. If you were short-term playing it, you'd want it on this particular pyramid here at 78.77. More highs are coming because you have a bullish pyramid even on the daily, and then of course you have all green down here on our short-term time frame. So more highs sooner rather than later on that bad boy. All right, looking pretty good. Okay, let's keep going here. Love this. All right, let's take a look at AAL. And who's this one for? This is for Rick. How you doing, Rick? Okay, so AAL is kind of an interesting one here because just by looking at the different time frames, right away you see a green PTF down here on the weekly, red on the daily, neutral here. So what does that mean when you have conflicting PTFs? The weekly shows green, the daily shows red. Well, it means that the daily time frame is shorter than the weekly, so that's the intermediate trend. So the intermediate trend is bearish. The long-term trend basically is saying once this bearishness is over on the short-term trends, we're going to have higher highs, and that's what it's saying. So we have to endure a little pain here before we get a turnaround and it goes higher. So let's open up this weekly chart here. All right, so we have a bullishness here, but we also have a red owl here. So we still have a little bit of negative momentum. The pyramid here was stopped out, so you no longer have a legitimate bullish pyramid trading point set in by the art software. So that price pattern got voided out. If we look at the intermediate trend on the daily chart, okay, we've got red, red, red. Now, what's the lowest low in the red area? Not too low, just above this area here, right? So the PTF saying we're probably going to drop down below this at some point before the weekly chart's green PTF kicks in and we go up. So a little bit more bearishness before this is all over, and this is why we use the 3 time frames, because isn't it nice to know that? So when this PTF turns yellow and this goes green and this still looks good over here, then you got a possibility of a good entry at that point. So if we look also too at AAL on the 60-minute, you can see we have active bearish pyramids and also bearishness down here. But we do have a neutral PTF here. So we're probably going to go down one more time. How far down are we going to go? Well, that's a pretty clean Elliott wave, so I think we could probably draw in fib extensions on this bad boy. Let's do it right around from here to here to here. So probably down around 1512 could be a possibility of a landing place for this. So that's kind of where I would kind of wait before I get too aggressive to go long in this to take advantage of the long-term bullishness that's still left in this market. Okay, hopefully that helped. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, I think I answered that, Zeke, on the PTF. Zeke's asking me, how do you balance or interpret declining momentum in the owl, but a newly green PTF? Well, the PTF is not going to tell you basically what's going to happen in prices in terms of really, the next price bar. What it tells you is that, for example, when you have a green PTF here, it's basically saying, okay, eventually the market's going to return and make that a higher high. But it's not going to tell you when, and it's not going to tell you how much of a retracement, all right, you're going to have before that happens. For that, you need to use other tools. We use things like fibs to give us some target zones on where that retracement's going to end. And then we can use fib extensions after that to get an idea of where the next highs are going to be, and usually the PTF's somewhere in that target zone. That's kind of the way those work. So hopefully that answers your question. Good question, though. All right, let's take a look. We took a look at Cisco. All right, I think I did that already on Ray. I think I did that for Cisco already. Let's take a look at gold. We haven't done that one. All right, so now you have a lot of talking heads out there telling everybody to get into gold. Okay, let's take a look at the long-term chart and see where we're going on this. All right, gold is usually, and the metals in general, are usually a place people go when equities are not a good place to be. All right, that's usually the bottom line with gold. Or there's a certain amount of fear that we're getting close to an equity top, and there's definitely that fear out there. So if we look at the long-term chart, this is the weekly chart. Back in 2011, we had a wave 3 top. And then it took, about 8 years, no, not quite 8 years, about 6 years, 5 years for it to get to a wave 4 bottom. And then the lackadaisical wave 5 finally kicked in to be more prominent back in 2018 and got to the target zone. So this was an Elliott wave 5 target zone up here. All right, so a lot of people were thinking, okay, that's it, I'll get out. All right, and the markets come back down. But look at this, PTF is still green. So that's saying we're going to go back in that target zone. We don't know how much lower it's going to go, but we can guess by drawing a fib, right? So if we get a fib retracement, stick it between here and here, we kind of are in that target zone or near it again right now. You hit it here, we're bouncing along here. We just had the owl's momentum go green, so we're seeing a little bit of bullishness come in. All right, I'm liking that. So when we look at this chart, and we also have a bullish pyramid that formed, if you look at this. See, here it is right here. So we had some red ones here, and now we have this bullish one here. So if we look at this, this is a fairly bullish chart at this point, and we hit the retracement zone. So if this thing's going to go here, you don't want to miss it. So you want to have your stop under that pyramid at this particular point, or even under here, and go ahead and go long based on this chart. Now, if you get stopped out, it just means the correction is not over, and that's why we use stops. But at this particular point, this looks good on this time frame. Let's go over and take a look at how it looks on the daily time frame. Ooh, not good. All right, so the daily time frame has a red owl and a red PTF with a low in the PTF area here. This is the very bottom. So it looks to me like this is not a time to buy gold. So here's where you can say, okay, I want to buy gold, the long-term chart looks good, but the timing may not be quite right yet. So I'm going to hold off until this chart turns bullish. What would be bullish? A green owl and either a yellow or green PTF, and we don't have that. So we've got a lot of volatility. Look at this. A lot of messiness in this. So stand down on this one. Okay, you want to stand down on gold right now. And if we look at the 60, little bullishness coming in on the owl, and also the PTF just turned green. Okay, so this is actually a bullish chart. So maybe from a short-term stance, we're going to go up a little bit. But until that intermediate chart turns bullish, there's no trade on this right now. Now, if you wanted to take a short-term 60-minute trade, which could last, a few days to a week or so, you could do that, but not a position trade. All right, so hopefully that helps. All right, silver's another big one. All right, everywhere you hear, buy silver. Silver's another metal that is very popular. Let's take a look at that weekly chart on silver. All right, and it has come down. Now, a lot of people that were recommending silver were getting in around the $26 mark. Okay, so they're sitting at $20 right now. So that's down quite a bit. Now, if you look at the owl here, 3. And we're in a 4 probably right here, or maybe even, yeah, that's what it looks like here. So we're probably going to go back up. I think we got a major bottom in here. I don't think silver obviously is going to go much lower than that. I will grant you that. The question is, are we at a place where it could turn around now? And the only way we can answer that is, of course, Mr. or Mrs. Fibonacci retracement. So we're in the target zone for a retracement. That's good. We need this owl to go green before we can definitively say we're out of this retracement. Let's see if the daily chart or the 60-minute chart helps us. So we'll look at the daily first. All right, so we got a situation here that if this is a bottom here, then this is going to be our target up here on silver. However, okay, we have a red owl here, and we also have a red pyramid. So this is giving us a no-go on a long trade. Got to stand down on this one too. So the metals are kind of standing down right now. Let's take a look at our 60-minute chart. Okay, we had a move up, but we still have a red PTF. So this is saying this is a temporary correction in a move that will go back down. So you definitely don't want to go long on any time frame here. Stand down on silver. You'll get your chance, but let's wait until we get green lights on these short-term time frames. All right, so that's looking pretty good on that. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's take a look here at, hey Ray, BIPC. BIPC. All right, we'll take a quick look on this one. All right, you guys liking this? Is this helping you? Again, look at this as a second opinion. You can also look at this as a good way, maybe, when we come across, another great thing about the service I didn't even think about when we decided to do it. It's almost like a stock picking service, because if enough people come and share their stocks, we may find ones that we want to take ourselves. So that's kind of a neat, kind of offshoot from it. All right, so let's get back to BIPC and take a look at that on the weekly chart. All right, not much history on this one, okay? So you got to take things with a grain of salt when you don't have much history. We've got a bullish move coming out off a bottom here. There's your pyramid trading point establishing that. We've got an owl that's, the momentum's getting better, but it's still red. So 3, maybe a 4 here. But again, not too much history. So let's draw a fib retracement in here, just for the sake of it. And you can see that this thing is bouncing off a possible wave 4 bottom because it hit in the target zone, right? So let's draw a fib extension on this. Now remember, this is a weekly chart. Not many people trade the weeklies, but we'll look at it to give us an overall long-term look at this. So the target, according to this, is around 86.5 to 105. That's where this thing is going, provided we can get a trade entry off the lower time frames. So let's take a look at that. All right, they are looking good. Okay, so here's one here. You no longer have a bearish pyramid. That was stopped out. Tried to take this bottom out, couldn't do it. Green, 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 liking that. All right, so let's take a look at our 60-minute chart. Same thing. It had some nice pyramid trading points recently here in the green area. So everything on the lower time frames are green. So what I would do on this, this is, I think, a good probable trade to take off the weekly chart, and I put your stop at the bottom of the pyramid here. So the short-term charts are all good, and this is giving you an ideal entry off the pyramid right now, and you want to put your stop here. So the stop for this, and I'm going to give you a number based off the data box, is right down here, and that is going to be 57.68. So I think everybody should write this one down, take a look at it on their own, run it by your financial advisor, but I think this looks like a pretty good one. 57.68 for the stop on BIPC, and let's give Ray a hand here because I think he might have found one that we could take a closer look at for each and everybody out there. So thank you. All right, good. Let's keep going here. All right, so SIG. Let's take a look at SIG. And this is for adult. Okay, so here's SIG. Let's take a look at the long-term chart. I kind of think you're getting used to my flow. All right, so very bullish. All right, no question about it, and it's still bullish. Problem I have with this is a couple. All right, this would have been the place to look to get in. When prices went above that pyramid and that owl turned green, no red down here, okay? That was the ideal entry for this. And you're talking about somewhere in the upper 20s. The problem now is you're getting in kind of late in the trend. And you've already had 1, 2, 3, 4 pyramids in a row. And from a statistical standpoint, after 4, we usually get some form of correction in a trend. So you got to be careful here. Now, I think probably we're going to have to look at those lower time frames to see how they are. If you're in it, this would probably be a good place to put your stop right there under that pyramid. And the price on that one is going to be around 60.46. All right, we always put our stop 1 tick under. So the low of that price bar, let me just bring the data thing over. The low of that price bar is actually 60.47. So we go 1 tick under 60.46, okay? So that's kind of what we're looking at for a stop, maybe if you're in it already. Question is, should you go in it now? Let's go to the lower time frames and see what they look like. All right, so here's the problem right now. We got a bearish pyramid after a big move up. All the long pyramids on the daily chart now have been stopped out. So basically everybody in this would have taken their profits by now. And in a case like this, you have a fairly deep owl. So it looks to me like we may be going into what we call a major wave 4 correction here. And so if we lower this and put 3 over here, the question is, where is 4 going to end? Okay, where is this going to end? Well, let's grab our fib retracements and see if we can get an idea on that. So we'll draw them from about here to here. Now notice when I pick my levels to draw these, they may be not the same level as you're thinking. You know, some people will pick down here. I picked here, and that's because this is a 1 and a 2. So I always go between a 2 and a 3. So it's got a little more distance before it gets to the actual target zone. So we're not quite between those 2 blue lines here, which would be your high probability target zone for a wave 4. So All right, so it's coming down. All right, this is not a time to buy into this if you're not into it already. Now, if we look at the 60-minute chart, all right, we've got some green pyramids that have all been stopped out, and actually they came off, right now this one's off an owl that's red, so you wouldn't take that one. So we've got bullish divergence, so we're probably going to get some little bit of an uptrend here, but at this particular point, I would kind of wait until we reach that target zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a move back to the upside, maybe to around, I don't know, 95, and then another move down back in here, something like that. So I would hold off, and if you're long already, put it at the stop on that weekly chart. Hopefully that'll help you. Okay, let's see. All right, Samuel, all right, for that, I'm going to go to TradeStation. All right, so here I got BTC USD for you here, and who is this for? Sam. Hi, Sam. All right, so this is the Bitcoin forex situation here, and very similar to the ETF. Let's look at the longer-term chart first. All right, so in a case like this, we've got basically 3, 4, 5. And no bullish PTF, bearish divergence. Stop long term here. So the pyramids are trying to give this thing enough room to rebound and make another high. But if it goes below here, you got to get out, okay? And take your profits because you would have gotten in way down here. Actually, you would have gotten in way down here, okay? So that would have been an area that you no longer have a green PTF. So things are deteriorating on Bitcoin. It looks to us, based off the ETF, we could make another high, but on this chart here, we're still coming down. Notice you have a red pyramid here, okay, and red, and this is yellow, neutral. This is red over here and red. So again, 60 minutes, daily, and weekly. So I would say no go in the entry. If you've been in this one already, I put your stop on that weekly chart, okay? ETH, USD, and I think we'll look at QQQ and wrap it up for today. We're a little over time, but love doing this, okay? So if we look at this bad boy, all right, we can certainly see similar situation. Look at this, similar situation. So bullish chart week on the weekly, stop here, no longer have a green PTF here, so this is yellow, it's neutral. We're starting to see a little bearish divergence here. We still have bullishness though, and we have red here and a red MP here, and look at this, red, red. So you don't want to be buying into this now, okay? Don't be buying into that, okay? And have your stop on that pyramid, and that's where you want to be on this in case it deteriorates further. All right, last one we'll take a look at here. All right, we'll take a look at the QQQ, and then let's take a look at the TQQ for you, Frank. And here we are. Of course, this is an ETF for the NASDAQ, of course. All right, so let's take a look and open this bad boy up. Gotta love that. All right, so the trade here would have been a long time ago, okay, because this has been running up for a while. All right, so this is a weekly chart. All right, we have a green owl right now, no longer have a green PTF, so this is neutral. And when the PTF's green, okay, it's neutral. It's not going to help us, it's not going to hurt us. You can go long or short on a yellow PTF, but it's not telling us anything. All right, so that's kind of how we look at that. Bearish divergence, still bullish. You're still above the trend lines. You haven't taken out any real major supports here, so this is technically still in an uptrend. It's just mature, that's all. If we look at the QQQ over here on the daily, let's see what kind of snapshot that gives us. All right, so we got a little bit of mess. The pyramid was stopped out, so we're getting kind of toppy. It's messy here. All right, it could resolve itself and go higher. It's still above the trend line, but it's kind of getting a little sloppy. Again, the trade on the QQQs in these would have been, a while back. All right, and then if we look at the 60 on this one, you can certainly see a lot of volatility. You wouldn't have taken this signal here would have been voided out because of this and this at that point. Okay, so you wouldn't even bother taking that. So you're kind of in a slop here, corrective slop, and it could resolve itself and go higher, but right now I would stay out of it until it stabilizes a little bit more. All right, so that's kind of where you're at right now. You're probably still in it if you're long, so just have your stops in place. All right, and then the final one for today, TQQQ. All right, let's see how this one looks. All right, similar situation. However, an interesting thing about this one here is you do not have bearish divergence, okay? So you have an increase here and an increase here, but the problem is you have so many pyramids now in a row that you may even go into wave 4 and then go up. You don't always get bearish divergence off of wave 3, so you do have to be careful about that. But right now this is an uptrend, okay? You can't deny that. All right, and if you look at the shorter time frames, you got a little bit of that volatility like we saw in the QQQ here, and kind of a bearish trend a little bit on the 60. So I don't like chasing trends, so I would not personally get into this at this point. That's kind of the way I would play that. All right, let's see. I think that's it. Okay. So you guys like this? All right. Did this go over pretty good today? I kind of like it, right? Let me put this bad boy up here if I can figure out how to do it. I got a whole bunch of buttons here I can press. Let's see what I got here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this was a good session because we looked at a lot of different types of markets. I think the best one we looked at today was BIPC. All right, so you definitely want to check that out. So we're going to be back next Friday. So if you have any more you want to come back with, love to have them. We'll be able to do futures next week as well. So if you want me to look up some futures, I'll be glad to do that. In the meantime, if you kind of like this type of analysis and tools, check us out. Check the art system out on the website. All right, at www.traderscoach.com. I'll put that link down below. And other than that, I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I know I have quite a few clients here, so I want to thank you guys for taking the time to come today. And we'll be back next week. So thank you, and have a great one.